Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. With the school year barely underway, another community is in mourning, this time in Georgia. The school shooting left 4 people dead yesterday at Appalachia High School. It happened around 10:20 Wednesday morning. Police say they were notified after a teacher pressed a security button on their ID tag. It's a new alarm system the school started using just about 1 week ago. Investigators say officers arrived on the scene within minutes of that notification, and the teenage suspect surrendered immediately when confronted by police. They've identified that suspect as 14-year-old Colt Gray, who was a student at the school. Police say he is charged with murder and will be tried as an adult. At this point, investigators have not said anything about a possible motive. The 4 victims who were killed are 2 14-year-old students and 2 math teachers. 9 other people were injured, 8 students and 1 teacher. The community came together at a vigil last night to honor the victims and their families, and the school will be closed for the rest of the week. One student described what they went through yesterday as horrific.
It's really terrifying. It's like, how could somebody so young do that? No matter where you are, you're not safe at all. I mean, even in a school that has officers everywhere, you're never safe.
We will speak with NBC News senior law enforcement analyst Cedric Alexander in a moment, but we start with NBC News correspondent Priya Sridhar, who is on the ground in Winder, Georgia.
I'm here at Appalachia High School, the latest scene of a mass shooting at an American public school. This morning, we're learning new information about both the suspect and the victims. The suspect has been identified as 14-year-old Colt Gray, a student at this high school, and he was actually previously known to law enforcement. They even conducted interviews with him just last year because of several violent threats that were made online. No charges were filed at the time, and authorities say that they have already conducted interviews with him and his family, but could give no further details about a possible motive here. Now, 4 people here have died. 2 of those were 14-year-old students, 2 were math teachers, and 1 was also a football coach. In addition to that, 9 others have been injured. 1 of them has been identified as a teacher and a golf coach. The other 8 were students, and they're all expected to make a full recovery. Now, this all happened at around 10:20 yesterday morning. Authorities say that 2 school resource officers were able to apprehend the suspect and get him to surrender without having to engage in any gunfire. Of course, the investigation will continue. More interviews will be conducted this week. The school will be closed for the rest of the week, and they are making grief counselors available to the students. Joe?
All right, Priya, thank you so much. Let's bring in NBC News senior law enforcement analyst Cedric Alexander. He's also the former chief of police in DeKalb County in Georgia. Good to have you with us, Cedric. So let's start with the biggest question. I want to recap some of what Priya said, dig a little deeper into what happened a year ago. In a statement from the FBI, they said it had investigated the suspect last year when he was just 13 years old after receiving tips that he was allegedly making online threats against the school. The FBI then passed those on to local law enforcement. He and his father were interviewed. His father told authorities there were hunting guns in the house, but the suspect did not have unsupervised access to them. The teen denied making any online threats. The FBI said there was no probable cause, so they did not arrest him. The sheriff's office then alerted the school district to monitor the teen. All right, so there's a lot we don't know yet, but is this a case where everything worked as it should have and this still happened, or does this show that maybe there are still gaps in the system when something like this is flagged a year ago?
Well, clearly there's going to always be gaps in the system such as this. And even though everything was done based on the information that was acquired a year ago in terms of the threat, it was followed up by the FBI, followed up by local law enforcement. The school was notified and put on alert. However, here again, when you don't have probable cause for an arrest or remove that child from that school, then they still have the right to go to school every day. But clearly, if the father says, hey, my child has no unsupervised access to those weapons, that clearly is probably not going to be true. But that'll be later determined in this investigation as well, too. So efforts were put into play. But in addition to those efforts being put into play, we still sometimes, our authorities, our local police, our schools still cannot maintain total control over one individual, because you have to remember you have a school of 2,000 children who come from homes that may have access to guns, or they may have access to guns. It's being on alert all the time, not just with that one individual, in this case where there was no probable cause. But it was sad, and even indication here again that was given early. It just didn't work out the way we would have liked for it to work out.
With the school district saying it was going to monitor this student, do we know, generally speaking, who would be responsible for monitoring this student? And what are some of the signs that they should be looking for?
Well, it probably wouldn't be no one individual that would be monitoring this child. The school administration, the front office, teachers may have been notified last year. But how was that followed up going into this new school year? And that becomes the question. But here again, you also have 2,000 other young people that you have to watch and observe and make sure that they're doing the things that they need to be doing academically, athletically, and all these other parts of that high school culture that is so important to their everyday function.
Clearly, there's going to be some kind of review as to what went on in that interaction with law enforcement a year ago and what's happened since then. What kinds of questions would you want to know the answers to make sure something like this doesn't happen again, to see what we can do, what changes can be made to prevent tragedies like this?
Well, of course, to get to the place where they are today, the notifications that were made, the FBI followed up accordingly, local sheriff's office followed up accordingly, the school followed up accordingly. All we can do at this point is really just go back and look to see when we have this notification about one individual student, no probable cause has been gained. Was it serious? Was it a prank? Did it have the potential to turn deadly, such as this case? And what else more can we do to monitor these types of situations? Do they have gun detection technology there at that school? What are some of the things that they have to sit down together and make some determination and try to see what is it we can glean and learn from this sad incident that occurred on yesterday?
All right. Cedric Alexander, good to have you with us. Appreciate your expertise. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
The Biden administration is going after Russia over alleged attempts to manipulate U.S. public opinion ahead of the November election. 2 employees of the Russia-backed media network RT are facing charges in what the White House says are Russian government-sponsored attempts to interfere with the election. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney joins us now with the details. Ken, good morning. So these charges were announced yesterday by Attorney General Merrick Garland. What are we learning about these alleged attempts to try and interfere with the election?
Good morning, Joe. Yeah, this effort by the U.S. government goes beyond just that indictment. The FBI also seized 32 internet domains it said was being used by Russia for propaganda purposes, and Treasury and state sanctioned some other individuals. But the indictment is the most interesting part. It accuses these 2 RT executives of funneling $10 million to a U.S. media company that knew it was working with the Russians, but then spewed Russian propaganda essentially to the American political system without disclosing that the source was Russia. Take a listen to Attorney General Merrick Garland.
An internal planning document created by the Kremlin states that as a goal of the campaign is securing Russia's preferred outcome in the election. The American people are entitled to know when a foreign power is attempting to exploit our country's free exchange of ideas in order to send around its own propaganda.
And so the U.S. intelligence community has said that Russia's preferred outcome is for Donald Trump to win and Kamala Harris to lose. But Russia also has a goal of creating chaos and sowing discord, according to U.S. intelligence officials, Joe.
So, Ken, I know a senior State Department official says it's designating 6 RT affiliates that operate in the U.S. as foreign missions. What exactly does that mean?
What it means is that it's a clear statement that these are agents of a foreign government, arms of a foreign government, not media organizations. So it empowers the U.S. to take certain actions that it can't really take against media. And that underscores that they have a thorny problem here with the First Amendment. The First Amendment applies even to foreign actors in the United States. They can speak freely. They can lie. What they can't do, though, is disguise funding from a foreign source. That violates the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which is what's alleged here, Joe.
So, Ken, we know this is certainly not the first time Russia has attempted to interfere with an election here in the U.S. How does this new alleged effort by Russia, the allegations here, compare with what we've seen in the past?
It's even more brazen. I think what's so interesting about this is it shows how the U.S. government has changed since 2016. In 2016, the FBI and the Justice Department watched helplessly while Russia interfered in that election with fake personas on social media with a hacking and leaking campaign, and only spelled it out years after the fact in an indictment. In this case, they're being proactive. Months after they discovered this effort, they've now shut it down before the election. They've told the American people about it. There's an American media company in Tennessee that has now been outed as working with Russian propaganda. So this is an effort to try to nip this in the bud. Unfortunately, the media ecosystem has become more complicated. There are people today on social media, Joe, saying that this indictment is a hoax and can't be believed, and they are echoing Russian talking points.
And a lot of people will believe that. All right, Ken Delaney, and appreciate your reporting as always. Thank you. Today is exactly 2 months from Election Day, which falls on November 5th this year. Millions of people will head to the polls to elect the next president and many other elected officials. We're also now just 5 days away from the highly anticipated debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. After much back and forth, the two campaigns have finally agreed to the rules for next Tuesday's 90-minute debate in Philadelphia. It will be held without an audience. Candidates' microphones will be muted when it's not their turn to speak. VP Harris and Mr. Trump will not be allowed notes or props, and both will stand for the entire debate. In other words, the rules and format will mirror the June debate between President Biden and the former President Trump. Another big headline today, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney is the latest high-profile Republican to endorse Vice President Harris. She made the remarks during an appearance at Duke University. Cheney says it's, quote, crucially important for voters to understand that they don't have the luxury of writing in candidates' names, especially in swing states. Cheney has been a vocal critic of former President Trump, a stance that cost her her congressional seat. And a programming reminder, we will have coverage of next week's presidential debate hosted by ABC News. Our coverage gets underway Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern here on NBC News Now and on NBC. This morning, we're hearing more about the issues impacting young voters in this year's election. We first told you yesterday about a new NBC News Stay Tuned poll focusing on Gen Z. The data comes as younger voters grapple with the rising cost of living and concerns over debt. Our very own Savannah Sellers spoke with some of those voters to learn more about what matters most to them.
I'm very proud to be an American.
21-year-old Oglethorpe University student Ashley Ewald says when Vice President Kamala Harris entered the race, it changed the game for her and many other young voters in swing state Georgia.
I'm excited to cast my vote. I literally heard that from somebody who wasn't going to vote in November.
A first-of-its-kind NBC News Stay Tuned poll of 18 to 29-year-olds shows Harris leading with registered Gen Z voters like Ewald. 50% said they favored Harris, while 34% backed former President Donald Trump.
I think he's the best man for the job right now.
At nearby Kennesaw State University, 21-year-old Grayson Hilliard says he's having trouble making ends meet. He thinks Trump is the one who can fix that.
And I think a lot of us are struggling at this time, and we need help.
When you say you're struggling, what things feel tough?
Grocery shopping for sure. Definitely noticing having to budget a little bit more at the grocery store, picking up the off-brand item. Definitely picking up overtime at work. Bought an electric car to save money on gas. That extra $40 goes a long way each month.
In the poll, 31% said cost of living and inflation is what matters most in this election, with 68% saying they've delayed important life milestones like buying a car or home due to debt.
How do you feel about the potential of being able to be a homeowner?
I'm worried. I don't think that the way the prices are right now, I'd ever see myself being able to afford a home or own one.
As for the VP picks, 55% in the poll said they view Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as a positive choice. As a Republican, that worries Hilliard.
I think that he is a great pick for Kamala Harris. He's that small-town, dad-seeming vibe, and that does appeal to a lot of voters.
32% said they have a positive opinion of Senator J.D. Vance.
As you see him interacting with everyday people, it's a little awkward. All the memes are saying this phrase, weird. And I think that when he speaks to people, you could see it.
One area of agreement for Hilliard and Ewald, setting a maximum age limit on who can run for president. 73% in the poll share that opinion.
Do I want my grandmother to be in office right now running the country as a 78-year-old? Absolutely not. She should be at the beach having fun, you know? She should be making cookies for her grandkids, you know?
They also share a commitment to voting in November, knowing the election could come down to Georgia.
I kind of wear it as a badge of honor to be in a state and also be organizing and mobilizing in a state that is such a battleground state like Georgia. All eyes are on Georgia again.
Savannah Sellers, NBC News, Atlanta.
Weather now. Temperatures in the west remain hotter than usual for September, with the Pacific Northwest bracing for record highs. Let's get a closer look at your morning news now weather with meteorologist Angie Lassman. Angie, good morning.
Hi there, Joe. The AC cannot be turned off yet in the west. We've got still more than 50 million people under the heat alerts, and this is going to be kind of a long duration thing that we'll see across this region, even well into the weekend. But here's those alerts now. They do, of course, include Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Phoenix, a lot of the spots that we've been seeing the really warm temperatures, but also the warmer than normal temperatures stretch up into parts of the Pacific Northwest. Look at Portland's temperature today, 102 degrees. That is more than 20 degrees above where we should be for this time of year. We've got 105 in Redding. We've got high 90s for LA today, 108 in Las Vegas, and 112 in Phoenix. We continue that stretch of more than 100 days where Phoenix has seen a temperature over 100. Now, it's typical for Phoenix to see temperatures over 100 this time of year, but we really haven't seen a whole lot of rain in that area. The monsoon hasn't been quite as active, so that stretch and that record number of days continues, and we're likely going to add to it here in the coming days as well. Phoenix 108 tomorrow, Las Vegas 106, Palm Springs even warmer at 116 degrees. We've got 90s for parts of the Rockies, 96 for Eugene. The Pacific Northwest continues to be well above normal here, even as we get early into the weekend, and that goes for parts of the Southwest too. Meanwhile, along the Gulf Coast, it's not the heat, it's the rain that's really been pesky over the past couple of days. We've got 5 million people from New Orleans to Corpus Christi under these flood alerts, and here's why. This front just is continuing to hang around, and it doesn't look like it's going to make a lot of moves here over the next 48 hours, really. So you can expect the same kind of pattern, the stalled front, the heavy showers, the thunderstorms, and of course the flooding that comes with all of that as we gear up for more rain over these already saturated grounds for multiple days. As we get into tomorrow, notice the southeast really starts to see a lot of that rain, but specifically the heaviest of it will be from Louisiana to Florida, so we'll see the difficulty maybe with air travel. We'll likely see some flooding on the roadways, so that'll slow you down for your Friday. These are the areas we're looking for the greatest flood threat. Along I-10, Houston to Jacksonville, that's where I'd want you to be keeping a close eye, specifically across parts of Louisiana, New Orleans, right in the bullseye of that. And this, again, goes through at least the end of the work week. And here's why. Rain chances, they're going to be with us through Friday. And some spots, 3 to 5 inches more likely, but we could see some isolated areas picking up over 8 inches of rain. Again, we've had this going on for a couple of days now, so it's not going to take much to see some of that flooding occurring. And of course, the tropics. We can't forget about that. There has really been quite a lull, and I think it's gotten people's attention. Now, we still have plenty of time left in hurricane season, and we do have 4 areas that we're going to watch. Now, all of those, notice they don't have a great chance of developing. Maybe one of them could bring us a little bit of rain as we get through the long-term period, but we're not looking at anything too impressive, so nothing really fairly organized, and that tropical lull will continue. Joe, it's been 2 weeks with no named storms, and this is normally the most active period of the season, so we'll take that, but we will remind there's still plenty of time left in hurricane season.
But it would be nice if this hurricane season is not as dangerous as was predicted earlier this year.
Oh, we would love that. I would love to be wrong about that.
Exactly. No kidding. All right, Angie, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.